Welcome to Your In Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. I am Jacob, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Evan.
That's me.
Your other host. Yep. And we have been recording for about 20 minutes because he decided to go with a different thing, and then that spiraled. It doesn't matter, but anyway, we are covering Rings of Power. We're starting season 2, which is exciting for me because I've held off on watching season 2 until we cover this because I kind of want to see it for the first time and note any observations and all that. But I'm wildly behind on that. So I'm looking forward to finally watching it.
Yeah. I have watched it in its entirety multiple
have.
times.
And you, every time we've talked about it on the podcast where it's like we're sharing about it and you're just like, wait a minute, have you seen? And I'm like, no. And you're like, okay, I'll shut up then. And it's like, dang it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing out on so much.
I am excited to get to season 2 for Rings of Power. We've talked about it before. It's not the best adaptation, right? But there's a lot of cool moments. There's a lot of
and
story beats, implications, things like that. So I am looking forward to delving into season 2 as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been my viewpoint of like shows and anything coming out. It's like I feel like people are very, very quick to jump on it and comment about its critiques and or its downfalls and it's the things that it didn't do right, especially Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're wrong. There's quite a few of them that it's like, no, that's well, and you're right.
It really depends on what type of fan you are of
that's true.
Whether it's Lord of the Rings or, any other source of media, like the diehard,
right?
Like lore accurate people, not fans of this show whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle. I enjoy it. I notice things that are out of place, but it doesn't bother me that much. Jake, I'm sure, not really having gone into deep dive lores of Lord of the Rings, probably doesn't care as much.
And I mean, even well, you waste no time pointing out the lore differences, and I can see why somebody would be upset with it. But in my opinion, it's kind of like, okay, this thing exists,
right?
Nonetheless, why don't I want to try to go into it and enjoy it and set aside any of those things.
Well,
and I don't always enjoy it. Last Jedi, and it's just like, or the Acolyte. Like some of it's just straight up trash. But I still want to try to objectively watch it and then form that myself and not listen to the Redditors that are going crazy.
I mean, it's similar to other things. Like a big one is like the Game of Thrones show, right? The diehard book readers not happy about where the show went in the later seasons. People that never read the books, for the most part, enjoyed the entire show except for maybe season 8. Just like with Lord of the Rings, I'm kind of in the middle with like a Game of Thrones show because I've seen the show and read the books, and I note the differences, but I still enjoy both. I still enjoy Rings of Power show even though it's different from what's been established. I enjoy the arcs, as we've talked about many times. I really enjoy the interactions with the dwarves. Cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
But
But we are covering, like I had said, we're getting into season 2. So today is episode 1. Our format, if you're new, is that we will go over a summary of the episode that we are covering, and then we're going to talk about it. Because what we have done is we've gone in and watched it and taken notes. And it's just things that caught my eye, things that I wanted to elaborate on, maybe something that I looked up because I was curious on and I feel the need to share. It can be a variety of things. But first, we want to do a little bit of a refresher on the content that we're talking about.
Yep. So I think, Jacob, without any further ado, if you'd like to go into that summary.
It. Now, normally what I do is I pull up a Wikipedia article on the episode. I copy and paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, I want this summarized, no more than 4 lines for each group. Just because I want to give a rundown. I don't want to go through everything. But today's is a little bit longer because when I searched Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 1, I saw a post on Reddit where they were like, this is basically season 1 recapped. And I started reading it and I was laughing because of how they phrased some things. And so I'm just going to read their summary. Okay. It's from user Nick Danger 3DI. But anyway, this is their summary of episode 1 of season 2. Sauron puts on a new disguise and holds a political rally to convince the orcs to make him president. They do what all voters really want to do at political rallies, but after he's dead, his blood leaks into the basement where he is respawned as a mop head and lives on rats and bugs until he escapes, gets stuck on a wagon wheel, flops into a wagon and eats the driver, which makes Sauron look like Halbrand again. So Sauron, after becoming a human again, meets a man who becomes his AA, Anarchists Anonymous, sponsor. After hearing his sponsor's wise words, Sauron joins him on the boat, where later Halbrand and Galadriel become pals, and struggles with his addictions to evil. Then, when the boat gets eaten by a fish dragon thing, his AA sponsor is trapped and asks Sauron for help. Sauron decides, screw this, I'll steal his jewelry instead, and goes on an evil bender. The fish dragon thing recognizes Sauron as a fellow evil creature and declines to eat him. Cut to 2 blue-clad elves galloping frantically through CGI forests and across CGI meadows. Galadriel gets hauled to the principal's office and berated by the king elf for lying about Sauron being Halbrand. Elrond sticks his tongue out at her behind the king elf's back. King tells Elrond, who is holding the rings, to shut the hell up and hand over the rings. Elrond then jumps over a cliff into a waterfall and falls thousands of feet into jagged rocks.
Interesting so far.
Yeah. Back in the Southlands, we find Halbrand / Sauron in a chain gang of orc prisoners. He tries to con Adar, the orc boss, telling him the elves are making nukes to wipe out the orcs with the help of a bad witch man.
Oh, God.
And he will help them find Bad Witch Man if they let Halbrand Sauron homie go free. Adar has him spanked and chained up. For not telling where the witch guy is. Oh, my God.
Oh, he's struggling now. He's crying. He's crying.
Yeah. So I only read like the first 2 paragraphs and I'm like, I want to read this. Nori and the stranger / Gandalf, hereafter S/G, wander around together, together in a desert. Nori's Irish leprechaun accent is even stronger now. Stranger Gandalf makes a stone tree explode so they can eat the bugs that were hiding inside. Oh, shoot. I forget. What does TIL mean? In like an acronym. What is that again? TIL meaning. Today I learned cave hobbits like to eat bugs. Okay, that makes sense. They bond over eating roasted bugs and sing songs together about eating bugs. Sauron adopts a rescue warg and feeds it treats. Elrond, now homeless, lives under a bridge, reflecting the world we live in today. Then he hides out in Círdan?
Yeah, Círdan.
Círdan's crib. Galadriel yet again swears to destroy Sauron, which makes everyone who hears her roll their eyes. Big elf hunt is on for the rings and Elrond. Círdan and Elrond debate about whether rings are good or bad. Galadriel and King figure out that Elrond is hiding at Círdan's crib, so they go there with the elven SWAT team. Galadriel goes in alone to confront Elrond, but he gave Círdan the rings to toss them into the sea, which is always right. Stranger and Nori are followed by her friend Poppy, who brings a map the Harfoots made of the desert when they journeyed there looking for food, because everyone who is starving and thirsty naturally looks in the desert first. Círdan starts to dump the rings into the sea when a fish splashing in the water freaks him out. We will ignore the fact that he's spent thousands of years on the ocean and fish splashing should not be easily scary to him. Then he looks in the ring bag pensively. Back in Sauron's dungeon, Sauron pinky swears allegiance to Adar, but he crosses his fingers when he did it, so it doesn't count. Adar lets Sauron go free and gives him a horse as he rides off in the sunset to go back to the elves and run a new con. Sauron's adopted rescue warg eats his old jailer, and that makes him smile. Meanwhile, the elves have a big sing-along where Gil-galad declares they must leave Middle-earth or die because their tree of life is dead, and that's what the tree user manual says to do. Then Círdan appears with the rings, and after scarfing up the best one for himself, hands them to Gil-galad, who drops them on the ground. One bounces next to Galadriel, and she screams, "Dibsies, no takes backs."
Oh, God.
And puts the ring on. So Gil-galad, fearful that Galadriel will steal the scene from him, puts the other ring on and ogles it.
Interesting.
This causes music to play.
Oh, it's not done.
The dead tree. Nope. This causes music to play. The dead tree come back to life and makes the sun shine brighter. Elrond gives Galadriel a dirty look and slouches off to pout because he didn't get a ring. Galadriel, Gil-galad, and Círdan have a contest to see whose ring is the prettiest. Celebrimbor gets a new forge. It has an enormous anvil, which Celebrimbor's hot young elven secretary openly admires. Then Halbrand / Sauron rides up to the gates and asks to come in.
Oh, God.
Holy cow. So that was a little more brain rot than I thought it would be, but it was fun. If you couldn't see through what happened in the episode, we have Sauron. We see him in the beginning. He has a form. He gets stabbed and killed because he said that some of the orcs might die, and they didn't like that. And then we see his blood kind of come up, and he becomes Halbrand. That was obviously a prequel sort of thing to what we see in season 1. Then it's him just kind of trying to regain power. He slips out of, the orc camp Mordor thing and, goes on.
Yeah.
Stranger and Nori just kind of chill. I mean, they're trying to figure stuff out. But I think the primary thing of this episode was the rings.
Yeah, I would say so, and it's more so the elves' reactions to the rings. Between Elrond, Gil-galad, and Galadriel, kind of like their different reactions, their different approaches to the rings.
Yeah. But anyway, if you gleaned anything from that summary, that's the episode that we're talking about. And so quick ad break, and then we'll get into our notes.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by the Warg Whisperer. If you have a pet warg that is acting just way too hostile, give Waldrig a call and he will... Yikes. Oh. Ooh. All right. Yeah, never mind.
Man, we gotta do something about our safety, man. We are losing so many people.
See, the thing is, this was Waldrig that died. Our narrator did not. So he wasn't an employee. He was just a potential business partner. Which,
we're missing out on the business.
I think we'll change our kind of contract that they have to pay in advance. Some of them have already,
nice.
But I think that we should probably say, like, you buy the ad slot and then we'll figure out what to record.
That would be nice. I've been living under a bridge for 4 months because the last couple didn't pan out. All right.
Yeah, well, at least you get to look up and see a cityscape or whatever in the bridge,
Yeah. Anyways.
Anywho.
On with our discussion.
Yep.
I would like to start things off with.
That's fine. Go for it.
Just that first scene from the episode with Sauron and Adar and all the orcs. The spiky crown thing that Adar uses to backstab Sauron.
Yeah.
I think it's mentioned in the episode as well, but for people that might not have picked up on it, that is actually the crown of Morgoth. The big dude that started the whole War of Wrath in the First Age that I've talked about before. The big bad they keep like mentioning, like Sauron being a lieutenant of, so on and so forth. Like that's guy's crown, and man, that thing does not look comfortable to wear.
No.
That thing
it
does
doesn't
not look comfortable at all.
Yeah. I remember in that scene before he gets murdered.
Yeah.
I'm just like, who is this dude?
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, they recast him? That is not a good recasting. And then he got murdered, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then, yeah, so that kind of threw me because I didn't realize that it took place before. And I think a lot of people are like, who the heck is this?
Right.
You know?
Well, because they recasted Adar too.
I didn't even pick up on that one.
They just recasted Adar.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that either. Just going between last season and this season, and then I watched a breakdown today, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice.
The only reason because I picked up on it right away, but the only reason I did was because the actor that plays Adar in season 1 he plays a character in the Game of Thrones show.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like I recognized the actor, and then when it changed in season 2, it was like, that's not the same guy.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him before, so I just saw him as the character, and then but I didn't pick up on a change.
The different actor playing Sauron in this scene, in lore purposes, or like, lore continuity, what have you, for that is like people like Sauron, who is actually like a fallen angel type entity, right? When they die in Middle Earth, or like the mortal realm, whatever you want to call it, they lose access to that form. Whatever appearance they were taking, they lose access to it. And so it's like, that's why we see when Sauron comes back after this betrayal, he is Halbrand and not the dude that they had playing him in the like this flashback, essentially. Yeah. And so it's like Sauron has lost the ability to take on that form, so he has to take on a new one, aka Halbrand. And then for those that are privy to the lore with Sauron, when it comes to the making of the other rings and his involvement, he takes on the appearance of, or the name of, I think it's Anatar, it means something in Elvish, and I won't go into that because it is revealed in this season what it means. But he like takes on a whole different form in that instance as well, and so it's like, dude's playing the long con, like your recap said. He's just conning people left and right. Yeah. I
did notice in that.
Go ahead.
Well, it was just, we're still talking about this scene where he gets stabbed by the crown, which looked horribly painful. Yeah. After Adar stabs him, he turns to him, and you see his veins are black. Like, and he's in my immediate
Adar's
thought was
or
like
Sauron's.
Sauron's.
Okay.
My immediate thought was wondering if it was a similar thing because of like when Frodo was stabbed.
Right.
But somebody pointed it out when I was watching a breakdown of it that he did the same thing when at the end of season 1, him and Galadriel were like screaming at each other and stuff. He was kind of like turning, like it's almost like the evil in him like kind of showing.
Right.
And I kind of wonder if like him getting all angry because it's like, you stabbed me,
Right.
Maybe could be the same.
Because like I don't understand why he got so angry about that. Like, what the heck?
I know. Like, I
would up.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so it
yeah.
I just noticed that it was like he looked a little more evil,
Yeah, I'm assuming that's just kind of like his, kind of like you said, like the evil coming out. That's kind of like his natural, or like his inner presence or whatever you want to call it kind of coming to the forefront. Because it's like, like
But
once
then,
he dies, we see him in goop form, which reminded me a lot of the of Venom.
Yeah.
Like the Venom goop from specifically Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, when
I can't think of his name now. The main
Topher
actor.
Grace is.
I was
thinking of when he was like pulling it off of him,
Yeah.
and like kind of once he finally got.
Tobey Maguire, that's the actor.
Yeah,
it reminded me very much of
talking
like
the other
Tobey
guy.
Maguire Spider-Man getting the black, Spider-Man Venom suit.
But do you know what I'm talking about? When the other freaking Eric from that 70s show, when he was in it, and he got attacked by it and like became, because I think he played Eddie Brock, I think.
I'm pretty sure. If not, the
Anyway,
actors
and so
look
he
very
like
similar.
Yeah. But when he got it, he was like kind of fighting it a little bit, and that's what I was thinking of. But
that
no, but I wrote
Goop Sauron really reminded me of that.
yeah. What did I write? I called him. Yeah. There was someplace I thought I phrased it exactly like that. Oh, it shows a grotesque Venom depiction of what Sauron really is.
Yeah.
That's what I jotted down.
Well, and
Venom. I had the same thought.
With that too, with the whole like Sauron becoming like Goop Sauron, having to like kill bugs and rats, and then finally that woman like driving the cart to like regain his form. One thing that the show doesn't say anything about, and that I imagine most people probably don't know about, is like, well, if Sauron can regain his form, what about Morgoth? What about the big bad, the evil guy? And I had actually just seen a video talking about this not too long ago. So this might be a little bit of like a drawn out bit here. But so like in the Lord of the Rings, we obviously know that like Sauron makes the One Ring, and he, the opening scene from Fellowship of the Ring says, he puts his malice, his anger, all that kind of stuff in the ring. Well, Morgoth does the same thing when he's still alive, but instead of an object like a ring, he does it to the land of Middle Earth, essentially the whole planet. And with his power dispersed that far across that much space and not actually just in his physical form, he just cannot regain physical form again. It's like nearly impossible, i.e. it's going to take him like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years to do so, to actually come back.
What was the goal in doing that?
It's basically like spreading his influence across the land. So like the land itself is just kind of imbued with the evil of Morgoth, which would be like an explanation of like, why is there so much war? Why do people hate each other? Why that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
And so it's like at the end of Return of the King, when Frodo destroys the ring, and then people say like Sauron can never, he can never come back. He can never retake, physical form again. Well, it's because he's just lost so much power with the ring being. It's essentially a Horcrux for Voldemort, right? But on like a much bigger scale, in the sense of it's more than just a sliver of Sauron's soul. It's like most of him is in the ring, and most of him just got wiped out. And so it's very much the same thing with Morgoth, and why he can't come back, and how Sauron is able to take over as leader is like Morgoth has put so much of himself in the land, and he can't just reach out and pull that back. It's stuck there. And so it's like, if you wanted to truly forever get rid of Morgoth, you got to blow up the planet, essentially.
But he's coming back to the scene a little bit. He is completely just Caesared, and then he like erupts in this light, and this just cold winter, like just explosion goes out from him, and that ends up being the scene where we pick up, where season 1 started with Galadriel pushing through, trying to find, and she comes to that exact spot, that fortress, and is when she's searching for him.
And I had the name of that fortress here.
That was kind of cool.
Where was it at? I don't want to give the wrong name. There it is. So that fortress that we actually see them in is Forod-Rath, which was like an ancient, as like Galadriel says in season 1, it's like an ancient orc fortress type place, and it's like full of evil and stuff. But yeah, it's called Forod-Rath for anybody that's curious about that. But with that too, before he like blows up, right, and does like frost everywhere, I just remember like the camera kind of like zooming in on him and like all the blood and stuff. Like those orcs are savaging him, like just nonstop.
Oh, they absolutely obliterated him.
Yeah.
And it actually showing you a little more about his own strength. It took a while to take him down.
Yeah.
But now they totally turned him into Swiss cheese.
Well, and because
Swiss cheese had like 10 times more holes.
Right. Well, and because like Gandalf and like Saruman, and even like the Balrogs, like the one we see in Moria, like they're all similar type of creatures to Sauron. And so I just sitting here thinking, is like, my mind goes back to Return of the King, where the Witch King shows up and is like, I'm going to destroy you, Gandalf. It's like, man, if Sauron took all of that just to kill him, like, yeah, you got a dragon, dude, but like, you better come packing. Like, if that's what it takes to kill one of these guys, is like this super evil crown that probably has magic imbued into it, probably. And then just orcs stabbing over and over and over again for like a solid minute or two of just like 12 of them just nonstop.
Yeah.
I don't know how Saruman died to one knife in the back. I don't get it. Let's ignore the fact that he fell like 500 feet onto a spike, but
it was probably that. But
yeah.
Anyway, though, following that, there was the scene of all the goop, the blood kind of sort like coming down and then picking up form based on like it comes across a rat and then works into like this. Whoop. Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of cool. I liked that scene a lot because it was really dark, but it was also like you see him in this just raw form of just bleh,
Well, and I like it too because within the context of the show, it explains how Halbrand, aka Sauron, got to being on the raft in season 1.
Yeah,
I like that they actually took the time to explain that. And it, like it explains why that fortress that Galadriel finds in season 1, episode 1 is all frost covered, and there's like an orc half frozen into the wall, and like it gives you the answers to those, but not just like someone saying, "Hey, this is what happened." You actually get to see it play out, which I do like.
Yeah. When he ended up coming across that group after this scene and stuff, after he finds his Halbrand form, they commented on going across the seas, like leaving this land. Where were they heading? Were they heading to Numenor?
No, I think they were just talking about getting out of the Southlands.
Oh, okay.
Like just getting away from the orcs. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Numenor is one of those places where it's like, unless you've been there before, you can't get back there. Or like you can't get to there.
They just talked about like the way that they had talked about sailing, like distant shores sort of thing. I don't recall what they phrased it as, but it made me think it was like not Middle Earth. How they would find it, no idea. But I thought, well,
and because when you look at like Middle Earth as a map, right? It's basically the typical map that you see when you search Middle Earth is essentially like England, or not England, but like Europe. And then on the far right-hand side, you're like getting into like Russia, and towards the south, you're getting into like the Middle East or like South or like Africa. But it's mainly just like a middle or a Europe, chunk of land, essentially. So it's like, and then like the Undying Lands are essentially like North and South America. Because, this Lord of the Rings, as Tolkien wrote it, was essentially a fantasy origin story to our modern day, And so it's like, they can't really go that far west. They'd have to go east. But the orcs are east, so they're probably just trying to get over towards like future Gondor, future Rohan, future the Shire type regions, just away from, the stabbing, savaging, gross things.
I don't know. Maybe.
That's my assumption, at least.
He joins them though, like we had ended up mentioning, but they get shipwrecked, and we see that giant sea creature, which I always just love seeing creatures like that, because just like massive monsters and stuff, they're just so cool to me.
Well, we've even talked about that when we covered the Phantom Menace with the giant sea creatures in that, and in the movie. It's really just like you. I enjoy seeing not just the wildlife, but like the monstrous proportioned wildlife in different fantasies.
Yeah. Something in that though that was interesting. The summary had said that this thing, when it saw Halbrand, was kind of like recognizing evil. Later on, us seeing him with the warg, he seems to have some sort of influence over him.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of like able to at least like be like,
because again, Sauron's not just a human. He's like a angelic, fallen angel-esque type being. So he's got obviously like supernatural powers. And so I just took this interaction with the sea creature to being similar to the interaction with the warg. He just like forces his will into their mind type of deal.
That's
just what I assume
wondering.
it to be. Yeah, and because like when you watch the Lord of the Rings movies, I think it's Gandalf when in Return of the King, when he's in Minas Tirith with Pippin, he makes a comment, something along the lines of like Sauron is drawing all evil to him. It's like that's not just something as simple as sending a letter saying, "Hey, come on, we're gonna fight these people.
Come here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I imagine there's some sort of supernatural or magical influence that he like emanates out to draw these types of creatures and these types of people to him. Yeah, and I assume that's what's happening here as well.
Yeah. You said Gandalf, and that kind of makes me think of something that I had noted. I don't want to take away from anything lingering on what we've talked about so far, though. If you have any,
I just had one other thing with this kind of opening, like essentially like prologue to Halbrand / Sauron. That guy that he like leaves trapped in the ship to die, that he grabs the bag from.
He got the thing from, yeah.
I wonder who that guy is. I don't have an answer, but like, why does that random guy have that bag who Galadriel mistakenly thinks Halbrand is the king of the Southlands because he has it? Like, who's the guy that Halbrand took it from?
Yeah.
Like what is his importance, if any?
He might have some, but I mean, in the episode, when Halbrand was talking to him, he asked about it, and he had said basically like his family's past, like his ancestors served that king, and he's like, well, then why keep it or something? And he's just like, kind of a reminder of who you are, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like, I feel like he's maybe has a little more significance than that with it. But that's the reasoning he gave.
Right. And that very well could just be it. It could just be that simple. But I do feel like there is opportunity there to explore another character if they wanted to like capitalize on that or explore another, arc or something like that they didn't pick up on, that they didn't do anything with. But I feel like there was an opportunity if they had wanted to.
Yeah. No, you had said Gandalf though, and it made me think when they were it was Nori and him talking, and it was I forget when, but it's fun to kind of see, like, because obviously we see the stranger when he was first introduced as this, like, kind of like he's trying to figure out who he even is, because he's just like kind of like showed up in this. He just showed up. He's getting his footing. But it's fun now to see more of Gandalf's personality come through.
Yeah.
And like things that he says and stuff. And I don't recall what exact thing made me think of that, but one of them was when Nori was like, well, do your magic thing and make this tree produce fruit, like we're hungry, you know? And he's just like, oh, okay, you know, but you know what happened last time? And she's just like, yeah, but whatever. And he's like, well, stand back. And he goes to do it, and he's like, further, Nori, like further, like, but something the way he said it was just, I don't know. It just reminded me of the kind of way that Gandalf carries himself, and it's fun to see that coming through.
With this, though, with kind of his reaction of like, step back, Nori, further away, my mind cannot help but go to the Gandalf-Pippin interactions. Specifically, right before they go into Moria and Fellowship, and Pippin's like, well, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, knock your head into it. And if that doesn't work, at least I'll have some silence. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, in this show, Gandalf seems to be making mistakes that I would have correlate to Pippin making. Or like Pippin turning the key or the arrow or whatever it is in that dead dwarf when they're in the tomb in Moria and it falls. It's just like, Gandalf just exploded a tree. Last time he did something like this, it hurt Nori. Or not last time, but like last time he did something like this, it almost landed on Nori's sister. The time before that, he froze Nori's arm. And I'm just thinking, like, if Pippin had Gandalf's powers, this is the type of stuff that would be happening.
That's fair. Except his would be out of, like he's not dumb, but, like, Gandalf's learning. Mm-hmm. Whereas Pippin would probably be, like, just making errors because he doesn't think.
Yeah. But I just can't help with when you said that. It just made me think of like the Gandalf Pippin interactions. It's like Gandalf's getting mad at Pippin because I feel like Gandalf's probably made a similar mistake when he was trying to learn how to use his powers.
Yeah. So in this though, like, so yeah, he got, it worked. It didn't work in the way he was intending, but it blew open and a bunch of big bugs come out, and Nori's just like, we can eat these, and they eat them. And as they're sitting around the fire, Gandalf drops probably one of the heaviest and like interesting lines in this, where he says, it's strange how what is left behind can be the heaviest burden to carry. And it's just like, okay. No, that's kind of a, I don't know, something, when something's very well phrased like that, it like kind of gets me thinking, or it's kind of like, oh, that's a really good way of putting that. And yeah, no, you're right.
That just makes me think of, again, the line in Fellowship in Moria when he's talking to Frodo, when Gandalf's talking to Frodo, and he drops the line of like, many who live deserve death and many who die deserve life. And it just hits you and you just like, you have to sit there and just kind of think about that for a minute.
Yeah, because it's like one of those things where it's like maybe it's phrased nicely or something, but like it's not like it's a complex thought.
Right.
It's like it's a pretty simple truth, but it's like you think about it more and it's like, dang, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Or another one from Gandalf that comes to mind is in Return of the King, when he's sitting there with Pippin as like Minas Tirith is being attacked, and he kind of like gives that description of death to Pippin as they're like kind of contemplating what's after. Mm-hmm. That I don't remember the exact words for it, but that, you know, that scene comes to mind as well.
Yeah.
But
I have some interesting notes about Master Círdan. as we meet him. But if there's anything prior to that you have to say, I don't want to move on past it.
I think just for the stranger Nori, I don't understand why Poppy decided to follow them.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like story beat wise, they need the walking song so they know where to go. They need the map, but it's like Poppy has been against helping the stranger time and time again on like a fairly consistent basis, until like season 1, episode 8, for the most part, right? She's always like, come on, like, do we have to, Nori, this again? Like that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And so it seems a little odd to me of why Poppy would now all of a sudden be all for, no hesitations, strike out on her own, trying to catch up to, Nori and the stranger. Like, obviously there's the bit in there of like helping my friend, which is, I mean, that's a pretty good motivation of why to do it, but there's no further like objection or anything from her about helping the stranger, aka Gandalf. It struck me as odd.
Yeah. Something that, so with Círdan, obviously we end up meeting him. Elrond turns to him because he's seeking the wisdom of this elf. He is, I think, one of 2 elves, only 2, to have a beard, which I thought was cool because the reasoning is because they're so old.
Yep. Yep.
He was present at the awakening of the elves.
Yeah. This dude, so ancient.
Ancient. I just Googled it trying to figure out how old he is, and it gives us a little like, freaking
right.
Google's AI overview. But it says Círdan the Shipwright is one of Middle Earth's oldest elves, present at the awakening of the elves, making him well over 10,000 years old by the Third Age's end. Now, Granted, we are not at that point.
Right.
What are we at?
We're still in the second age. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because the Third Age ends, I don't know the exact year, but it's the year 3000 something.
Yeah.
Of the Third Age is when that ends, when the ring is destroyed.
Yeah. So he's still, thousands of years old.
Well, and the thing too is,
and with that is why he's regarded as one of the wisest, because he's been around for the longest and is rocking a solid look.
Yeah. I like too how he uses like a sharpened seashell to shave.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. But the thing too with his age is, obviously you have like the first, second, and third age, right? And then at the end of Return of the King, they're going into the fourth age. But before the first age, there's other like chunks of time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I because you have like the Silmarillion book, which takes place before the first age. And I think it goes into the first age. I could be wrong. But parts of it take place before the first age, and elves are around, which means this dude not only is over 10,000 years old, we don't really know how old he is. I'm sure if you had some math whiz or some like, hardcore lore
could figure
expert,
out the
they could probably tell you, but this dude ancient.
Yeah. Also, I forgot so I learned a little bit more about him in watching this one YouTube video where it was breaking down the episode. Something in there that he commented on that I kind of forgot about that you just talked about, backing up a little bit with Poppy. He was talking and he's like, wasn't very happy that she came along, because he was like, I was halfway expecting when the last season ended for Poppy to be like, no, I'll come with you. And I was really happy that they didn't. And then he's just like, but, here we are.
Truthfully, I like Poppy more than I like Nori.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not disappointed that she's there. My whole thing was just like, I don't understand why her character would do that. But like, I like her character more than I like Nori's character.
But anyway, no, Master Círdan, very, very old, and that is why Elrond sought him out to. Yeah, he was in hopes that his wisdom would see the same as he's saying. Like, these rings cannot be good. Right, they came from Sauron's influence. Which, something about that was kind of interesting, because something else this video pointed out where it was saying that, like, something, I don't know if it was something that Rings of Power is doing or in general was the case, but it was like, these were not really created with his direct influence, like the One Ring was. So, like, these are more than likely fine. However, once Sauron makes the One Ring, that then rules over these rings, and that makes it a problem.
Right. Well, and because you are right, like, these three rings are not influenced by Sauron, but Elrond is coming at it from a place of fear, right? Yeah. Like, his approach to this is, oh, what if they are? But what if? But what if? But what if? And that's just not the case, whereas you have, like, Galadriel.
I would say that he's right to be skeptical.
Right. I'm not saying, like, oh, just trust him wholeheartedly, but he is very much coming from a place of fear in his reaction to the rings. Yeah. Whereas you have, like, Galadriel, who's coming at it from, we can use these to defeat Sauron. She's coming at it with, like, a vendetta against Sauron to use these rings. But then you have Gil-galad, who's coming at it, these rings can save the elves. And so earlier in our episode here, I made the comment of, the three of them approaching these rings from three different places. Those are the three different places, and, two of them are agreeing to use the rings, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah. I did think that Elrond was asking the real questions here, though. Yeah. Where he was saying, okay, the rings may or may not be free of his influence, but are you? Right. Because he commented on how she was blinded by her own pride. And, yeah. Yeah.
It's a pretty straightforward answer. Yeah.
But, it's been clear that she has this kind of darkness in her, like seeking out that revenge and being driven by anger. So I think he's very valid in asking this, and it does kind of make you wonder. And I think she even takes some time to contemplate it.
I can 100% see where Elrond comes from with these rings and his approach to them, because he did just learn that Halbrand is Sauron, and that his close friend kept that from him, from everyone. And, he was there when Celebrimbor, when they had the idea of, like, mixing the metals.
Yeah, well, he may have been there, but where was he when the
when the Westfold fell?
Sorry.
But words, wow. No, Elrond, I 100% see where he's coming from. I understand his skepticism, and I don't blame him whatsoever for having this reaction towards these rings. Like, out of the three people that are essentially vying for control of these rings, him, Galadriel, and Gil-galad, I would agree with Elrond the most. It's like, we need to be skeptical of these. We need to investigate further. You two just want to throw them on willy-nilly, so I have to take them and get them away from you, because what if Sauron is influencing these rings, and what if he's influencing both of you right now through these rings, because y'all are kind of acting a little irrational with your with your responses here. In which, I mean, kudos to Elrond. That's some big huevos he has for standing up to the High King the way he does, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but they do put him on, and it does solve the problem of the tree dying.
Well, because it solves the problem of the tree dying. But, and I mentioned this in the last episode when we finished season 1. The intent behind making the 3 rings for the elves is different from, you know, established lore. Personally, I don't like this specific change. I feel like the original lore intent of the 3 Elven Rings is better. You know, made to directly oppose Sauron rather than save their own hide. You know, I just think that's more impactful on the story in the long run.
Mm-hmm. But moving on from that, that's kind of what wraps up their story in this episode. You know, their part, I believe.
Yeah.
And
my last thing is not really events in this episode, but it ties into the 3 Elven Rings. Because as you said, Círdan, Gil-galad, and Galadriel all take a ring. By the time of Lord of the Rings, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous episode, so I won't go too far into it. By the time of Lord of the Rings, Gandalf has one of the 3 Elven Rings, and Elrond has one. And for those that might be wondering, Círdan does not die, right? Círdan gives the ring to Gandalf at some point between now and like The Hobbit, because Gandalf has it in The Hobbit as well. And then I've mentioned this as well. Elrond gets the other ring. He takes it from Gil-galad's body after Gil-galad dies in the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring.
yeah.
So that's how those rings get to where they're at by the time of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah. I don't really have any thing else, because what the episode kind of ends on is Halbrand. He has talked to Adar, kind of fingers crossed, said, I pledge my allegiance to you. He doesn't. He phrases it in a way that he's not actually like saying what Adar wants him to, but Adar thinks he's saying it. Either way. But he allows him to go and investigate or do whatever, and Halbrand goes to is that Eregion?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And asks for permission to enter whatever. It ends up he's across the street or whatever from Celebrimbor.
I will say
that's where it ends.
Kind of setting up the following episodes of season 2. The scenes of Halbrand / Sauron in Eregion with Celebrimbor are some of my favorite in season 2.
Cool.
Without giving any spoilers or anything, there's a lot of interesting dialogue and story beats there that I really enjoyed when I watched it for the first time. I think those sections of season 2 are definitely my favorite. Even including like the dwarves, you know, and the humor that comes with the dwarves. I think the Celebrimbor kind of Sauron interactions and their story, I think they're really well done.
Cool. Well, what was I going to ask? What is your high and low point, unless you have anything else to share?
We're frozen. Technical issues.
I can hear you, but you're frozen as well.
Oh, there we go. No, you completely froze for me. I can hear you now, though.
Oh, okay. Do you hear my question?
I heard what is. I'm assuming highs and lows.
Yes. Yeah, that is what I asked.
I think my high would be that kind of flashback intro of Sauron becoming the Sauron Goop, and kind of how he got to where we found him in season 1. I really enjoyed that kind of flash of sequences they did there. The only thing with that I kind of had an issue with was, and you see this in movies and TV shows all the time, we don't really get an idea of how long that was. Was that 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years?
That was something. That was something that somebody commented on. The same guy in that video, he was saying that like the way that Sauron regenerates is each time it takes longer and longer and longer. But yeah, we don't really get a good time frame here.
Yeah, that was my only thing. Again, you see that in movies and TV shows all the time, because it's like the Battle of Pelennor Fields in Return of the King is 3 days, but in the movie it's like, oh, that happened in half an hour, and so it's hard to do in TV or in movies, really, and sometimes in TV shows it can kind of be a challenge to get that time jump explained. But I think that's my high for the episode. I just thought that whole sequence was really cool. My low, truthfully, it's just the like Gandalf and Nori, just because there wasn't a whole lot that happened there. So just there wasn't anything to really dig into, to get into, to really think about a whole lot.
Yeah. I think that a lot of there's actually quite a bit of highs for me for this episode. As you were talking through that, I was like, I had mine that I was going for initially, and I think that still takes, I would say that's still my high. But that opening scene was really cool, like seeing the regenerative process of Sauron and the goop, just how evilly freaking gross it looks, and like
it just kind of like emanates evil from it, is what it like.
Exactly.
They did a really good job with that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I do like the interaction between Gandalf and Nori, because you do kind of start to see some of his personality that we already know of. I liked that. But I think the most high point for me was, now that we know Halbrand is Sauron, seeing him interact, you can really see the freaking like 3D chess moves that he's playing, and and like as the freaking hood edition, whatever you want to call it, summary that I got, was hinting at the long game. You see him, and because you know who he is, it's like, I see what he's freaking doing here. Like,
you saying
and
that
I really
too,
enjoyed seeing that.
You saying that too just made me think of, and I've mentioned this with our Clone Wars coverage, with Chancellor Palpatine and all of his like 3D chess moves. Like this is almost paralleled to to that, where it's just like you can see the long game here, but nobody else is picking up on the extra pieces on the board.
Yeah, it was just kind of cool, because in like season 1, it was like you see him doing certain things, and it's like, what's his like? What is this guy like? What is his? What's he thinking here? And now that we know who he is, you're like thinking, you're like, I know what he's doing here.
Yeah, well, because like if you go back and watch season 1 with this knowledge now, it's like his actions just take on so many, just take on a whole different meaning into his motives, his goals, all that kind of stuff. Knowing who he really is just changes a lot of that.
Yeah. My low point, though, I would say is when Elrond, after he's jumped into the water and he's kind of like this disheveled look, his hair.
Oh.
I'll
have to go back and look.
I don't like how he looks.
Well, and I will say, too, though, even though, like, the Gandalf and Nori stuff, like that is my low for this episode, but that's not to say that it's bad.
Yeah.
Right? There's just not a whole lot of
Well, it's just like the weakest point in a
development
way.
there. Yeah. There's just not a whole lot of development happening quite yet with them, which there is plenty of like character development and story arc with them throughout the rest of season 2, and obviously it kind of has to start somewhere. You know, it just doesn't start as strong as, say, where the elves are picking up from.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, I suppose I don't have anything else to share. We don't have anything more to talk about, so why keep talking?
Yeah.
I would spend the next 2 minutes telling you about some different things that we would encourage you to do. However, I think what's best is come back. Yeah, check out the next episode.
Help us. We need listens. We need downloads.
I'm just thinking because, like...
I'm begging. No, I'm begging here, Jacob. Let me beg, damn it.
All right, fine, beg. Do whatever. That's not what I was... Go for it.
Nope, I already did my begging. It's done.
Oh, what
Yep.
the heck?
I've never had to beg before. I don't really know how this works.
Whatever it is. Oh, okay. Bye.
Deuces!